Are you leading a project and wondering if Scrum is going to help or hinder your team's ability to innovate? If yes, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to answer a few specific things around innovation. Why does innovation feel so elusive? Why do some teams consistently produce new solutions while others struggle to move just beyond even the basics? More importantly, if Scrum is supposed to foster innovation, why do so many teams find themselves stuck in grueling routine rather than true creativity? And how can you be part of the solution, not the problem? I'm Josh Epley, and I help project leaders like you build work systems where innovation isn't a struggle, it's the natural way to operate. My first Scrum team, I took from dull to delivering market-disrupting product the fastest the company had ever seen. And I did it all using healthy Scrum. So let's dive in. First, where does innovation even come from? Innovation is not magic. It's not just a flash of brilliance or a lone genius having a eureka moment in their garage or basement. That's right, innovation comes from a system, not just inspiration. And Scrum, when done right, is one of the best systems we have for enabling this kind of creative discovery. More than anything, we need to make sure our systems are not hindering innovation, but creating the environment where innovation can flourish. But then why are most teams failing to innovate even though they're using Scrum? Most teams think they're doing Scrum because they have daily stand-ups, they hold reviews, maybe even they have some kind of retro. But if the team doesn't have clear goals, psychological safety, and space for real experimentation, they're just not set up for innovation. They're set up for compliance. So instead of seeing Scrum as a way to uncover better ways of working, they turn it into a checklist. With checklist Scrum, as I call it, you get the same boring backlog, the same limited thinking, the same safe bets sprint after sprint. No surprise, innovation dies. So let's go through 3 reasons bad Scrum is a killer of innovation. The first is Scrum becomes too output focused. Teams are pressured to just deliver the sprint or meet their commitment points. And what makes me the most sad in these situations is that these teams stop asking, are we building the right thing? Innovation requires room to explore, validate, and occasionally pivot. But if you're only measured by checking off prescribed scope, exploration feels very risky. Instead, make learning a valid sprint outcome. Celebrate validated experiments and rapid insights, not just shipped features. Reason number 2, sprints are treated like delivery deadlines. Too many teams fall into the trap of using sprints as mini waterfalls, preloading them with predefined tasks, rigid timelines, and a false sense of certainty. It becomes a delivery schedule instead of what it's meant to be, a space for discovery. When every sprint is packed with must-deliver commitments, there's no room to explore, test ideas, or rethink the work itself. The team ends up just executing a to-do list rather than actually solving problems. But sprints were never meant to guarantee tasks. They're meant to be time-boxed uncertainty, a safe window to learn, inspect, and adapt. Instead, start treating some sprints or even parts of them, or even every few sprints as discovery cycles. Use spikes or focused time boxes to explore solutions, run tests, and validate assumptions before committing to the full delivery. Innovation thrives when there's space to think and not just build. Reason number 3, no psychological safety. If your team is afraid to fail, they'll never try to do anything bold. And if every experiment has to be justified with a full business case, well, game over. Instead, make it safe to run low-cost experiments. Encourage small failures that lead to big insights. Model that behavior as a leader. Embracing failure doesn't mean not caring when things fail. It means reframing the failure or challenge as an opportunity to learn. So, does Scrum kill innovation? Bad Scrum kills innovation. Healthy Scrum creates just the right mix of structure and flexibility. It's designed for empirical learning, but it only works if we treat the framework as a tool for discovery, not a factory for output. So we discussed what breaks innovation. Now let's talk about 5 techniques for how to drive more innovation in teams. Technique number 1, reframe your sprint goal around a learning question or as a problem to solve. Most sprint goals sound like implement feature X for customer Y. This type of goal does not create the boundaries for innovation because it is an execution statement. This type of statement does not incite innovation and excitement. So instead, let's tap into that core attribute that makes us human, that every person has, an instinctual desire to learn. So take implement feature X for customer Y, and instead try flipping that into a learning objective. Validation results for whether customers will use feature X in the ways we expected. This subtle shift changes your team's mindset from execution to exploration. It opens the door to experiment, test, and even challenge assumptions that have been baked into the backlog. It also makes room for minimum viable product. Another way to get more innovation is to frame your backlog as problems or opportunities, not tasks to accomplish. Let's say your team was asked to add a favorites button to the catalog. A typical item might sound like implement a favorites feature, but a better way might be help users easily return to items they liked earlier. Do you see how this change in framing opens up a world of creativity? Maybe the favorites feature is the best option, but maybe a liked button or a bookmark would work better with the user interface for this product. What we want our backlogs to be is a list of problems we need to solve, or questions we need to answer, things we need to learn. Framing the items this way does three powerful things. One, it creates space for innovation. Your team isn't locked into a single solution. Number two, it focuses on user experience. You're solving something real, not just shipping a widget. Number three, it encourages learning and iteration. You can test ideas, measure impact, and then adapt. Ask, what problem are we solving for the user this sprint? Then craft your goal around that. Just a quick bonus nugget here. I often get asked how much backlog should the product owner be writing versus the team. Well, this is that boundary line. The product owner should be defining the problems, opportunities, and needs to learn about. The team defines how they are going to do that learning. Product owner defines the what, team defines the how. Okay, technique number two, make discovery a priority of the team. In most teams, discovery is squeezed in between sprints or on the side at someone's desk or after hours. That's backwards. Innovative teams make discovery part of the flow. Add discovery tasks to your backlog, include prototypes, customer interviews, A/B testing. Define done for discovery work, just like delivery. Okay, a pitfall to watch out for here though. Often what I see is because a team will be working on something challenging, they just want to jump right into producing the solution because they know it's going to be hard. Well, by skipping the discovery phase, they end up getting bitten in the end, and they end up having to go back to the drawing board halfway through building the solution. Tim Ferriss has a great way of describing this. He says, do the thing first that is going to make everything else easier for you. Once you do that thing, now you've gotten it out of the way, you've figured out how to solve the big problem, it makes everything much simpler. And do that in a container for discovery. And this, my friends, is how you will get great innovation. Technique number three, use sprint reviews for real feedback, not just demos. A lot of reviews turn into a slideshow or polite updates. That's not innovation, that's reporting. I get it, stakeholders want to know, when am I going to get my stuff? Here's a nugget for you. If they're asking this in the sprint review, it's probably because your other systems for communicating delivery timelines are broken. If as a product owner, you haven't talked to stakeholders since your last sprint review, focus on why that is happening because that's your real problem. Instead, turn your sprint review into a mini innovation lab. Bring in real users or stakeholders, test something live, ask open-ended questions like what's surprising you here or what would you change about this? That's the point of the sprint review. It's that input that drives the next iteration. Okay, one more nugget here. A lot of coaches and other leaders want the sprint reviews to be fancy and show off the team as doing a really great job. I get it. This is the only time stakeholders interface with the whole team. But remember, the review is for the product, not for the team. You're reviewing the results of hard work of the team and not the team itself. Organizations that struggle with self-organization struggle with sprint reviews. And yeah, none of this is easy. Okay, technique number four, balance predictability with creativity. You don't have to choose between shipping and exploring. High-performing teams do both. Try this. Allocate 80% of the sprint for delivery, reserve 20% for a discovery or challenge or stretch idea. It could be a team hackathon, a design sprint, a bold feature no one's sure about. That 20% is where the breakthroughs often come from. Rotate who gets to propose the discovery item. Everyone gets a turn being the innovator. And do that fun discovery thing first. This will get the team diving into the sprint quickly, motivated about the work, and get those creativity juices flowing to fuel future innovation. Technique number five, treat retrospectives as your innovation engine. Your retro isn't just for fixing problems, it's for finding better ways of working. Ask questions like, where did we play it too safe this sprint? What experiments should we have tried? And what are we going to try next time? What's a risk we avoided, but maybe we should have faced head on? Then take one of those ideas and turn it into a real change for the next sprint. Even small tweaks done consistently create a culture of continuous reinvention. Innovation isn't always about the product. Sometimes it's how the team works that changes everything. I once had someone say to me, Josh, we don't need innovation. We just need to figure out how to deliver faster. Well, my friends, I'm sorry to inform you, faster delivery requires innovation. If you already knew how to go faster in your current constraints, you would have already done it, wouldn't you have? Okay. So far, I've been focused on how do I get innovation inside of a sprint. But what about planning for better innovation? So let's talk about some of the major killers I see in innovation outside of the teams themselves. The first is overly specific roadmaps. If your roadmap looks like a detailed month-by-month checklist of features you're going to build, you're not planning for innovation. You're scheduling execution. That kind of roadmap creates an illusion of certainty. It locks you into decisions made months in the past before anyone even learned from real users. It turns your team into order takers, not problem solvers. And here's the worst part. The more specific your roadmap is, the less room your team has to think. Here's what happens with over-specific roadmaps. First, the team stops questioning the work. If it's on the roadmap, it must be the correct thing to do, right? Somebody thought this through in great detail. Then discovery disappears. There's no time or appetite for learning. Everything is already decided. Scope becomes non-negotiable. People start optimizing for delivery instead of value. You miss out on what could have been an opportunity. Roadmaps are supposed to give us clarity, but when they get too detailed too early, they actually shut down the innovation. Innovation needs direction, not decisions. The solution isn't to throw out roadmaps altogether. It's to make them strategic, not prescriptive. Great roadmaps ask, what problems are we solving in this time horizon? Where do we need to learn more before we commit? What bets are we willing to place, and what's the expected outcome? This kind of roadmap gives your team guardrails, not a to-do list. It creates a space for discovery, iteration, and yes, innovation. What I recommend is to replace build this in the roadmap with solve this. So do you want an easy litmus test for your roadmap? Look at each item and ask, is this a solution or a problem? If your roadmap says, build single sign-on flow by Q3, that's a solution. It assumes you've already done the discovery and that it's the right move. But if your roadmap instead says, reduce onboarding friction for enterprise users, now that your team can innovate with, they can get creative. Now there's room to explore, test, and come up with the best solution, not just the first idea that made the list. Okay, here's the next thing outside the team that has a big influence on the team's ability to innovate. The teams don't need more features, they need more freedom. When you give them a hyper-detailed roadmap, you're making all the interesting decisions up front. You're saying, we already know the answer, so just go build it. But the truth is, most of our ideas are only half right when we start. And the only way to get the full right version is to leave space for learning along the way. So if you want more innovation, stop mapping out the next 12 months in features and tasks. Start setting bold outcome-based goals and let your team figure out the how. Trust the people closest to the work to discover the better paths. And give them slack, support, and incentive to innovate. Now, let's talk about something even more foundational than your roadmap for innovation, the people on your team. Because no matter how flexible your backlog is, no matter how well-shaped your roadmap becomes, if the individuals doing the work don't feel ownership, you're never going to see real innovation. Innovation can't be assigned. It has to be owned. Too many leaders treat innovation like a box to check. Okay, team, go be innovative this sprint. But innovation isn't something you can command. It's something you unlock. Don't you think if we could all invent the next iPhone or NVIDIA, we would? Innovation gets unlocked in people when individuals feel there are three things. Autonomy, meaning I have the freedom to decide how to approach this. Purpose, I understand why this work matters. And mastery, I'm trusted to do it well and improve over time. When those three are present, people show up differently. They take initiative. They solve problems you didn't even see. They challenge assumptions, try new approaches, and move faster. not just because they were told to, but because they care. Daniel Pink's Drive has some great work on this. Here's my nugget for you on this, though. It's a whole lot easier to take away autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So focus on what behaviors, systems, and structures could be taking away these three, rather than how do you add it to get more ownership. Chances are you can't layer these things on top of existing systems, but your systems actually need to be changed. Continuing on with how to reshape the way we plan for innovation, this is a pretty big topic: micromanagement. Micromanagement is the enemy of innovation. First, let's ask, why do people micromanage? I think the simple answer is they're scared. They're scared of not getting things perfect. Either they want a perfect team or a perfect product or a perfect company. I get it. Perfect is tempting. But here's the truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. And perfection is the fuel of micromanagers. When leaders get too involved in the how, it shuts the people down. They stop offering new ideas and just start doing the safe thing. It's not that they're not creative people. It's that the system trained them not to bother. Ask yourself, are you giving your team decisions or just tasks? Are you inviting them into the problem or just handing them a solution? If your team doesn't feel a sense of authorship over the work, don't expect breakthroughs. Innovation doesn't come from compliance. It comes from contribution. When you give someone a tiny slice of a responsibility, like a JIRA ticket and a deadline, you're telling them, stay in your lane. When you give them a problem to own, like, this customer journey is broken, can you lead the solution here? Suddenly, that person is operating with a whole new mindset. They're not just building a feature, they're solving a challenge. They're leading, they're thinking, they're innovating. And for you, if you're a chronic micromanager, lose your infatuation with your own solution and instead get really good at understanding the problem. One more time, leaders, fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Create space for initiative. If you want more innovation, give people room to move. Let developers propose experiments. Invite designers to challenge requirements. Ask QA to help them shape early assumptions. Give junior team members a chance to pitch a bold idea. Innovation doesn't care about titles. It cares about who's closest to the problem and who's empowered to ask. Your job as a leader, create the right conditions. Your role isn't to be the smartest person in the room. It's to make it safe for others to shape their smart ideas. You set the vision, define the constraints, and then get out of the way. Trust your team, support their growth, and when they take risks, even if it doesn't work, celebrate the learning, not just the results. Because the more ownership they feel, the more innovation you'll see. All right, let's bring this all together now. Innovation doesn't have to feel like it's lightning in a bottle. It's not about hoping the creative people on your team will suddenly deliver magic. It's about building systems and cultures that support creativity, learning, and bold thinking. So here are 10 things you can do right now to help get your team to be more innovative. Whether you're using Scrum or just trying to lead better projects, these will apply. Number 1, shape problems before they hit the backlog. Don't throw raw ideas into sprints. Give your team clear problems with context and boundaries, not the solution. Plan in cycles, not tasks. Use cycles to focus your energy and allow meaningful exploration. Don't micromanage with monthly roadmaps. Use time boxes to prevent overruns, not to prescribe to-do lists. Prioritize learning over features. Make space for testing, discovery, and iteration, not just building what's requested. Number 4, frame goals as outcomes, not outputs. Instead of build X feature, say improve onboarding success rate. Let the team propose the solution. Number 5, create a strategic, not a prescriptive roadmap. Highlight problems worth solving, not exact feature lists. Leave room for the team to shape the how. Number 6, give people ownership, not just assignments. Let individuals lead the solutions, shape the work, and challenge the status quo. Number 7, encourage dissent and debate. Psychological safety fuels innovation. Make it okay to say, I don't think that's the best idea. Number 8, celebrate small experiments. Innovation thrives when people feel safe to try new things. Even if they fail, reward the attempt to learn. Number 9, decide what not to do. Constraints breed creativity. Say no to low value work so your team can go deep into what really matters. And number 10, model curiosity and humility as a leader. Show that it's okay not to know the answer. Ask better questions, listen more than you speak. And if you start putting even just a few of these things into practice, you'll notice the shift. If you start putting even just a few of these into practice, you'll notice a shift. Your team will start thinking bigger, taking smarter risks, and solving problems in ways that will surprise you in the best ways possible. Remember, innovation isn't a skill, it's a system, and you're the one who sets it in motion. Thank you for watching. And if you found this helpful, drop a comment with the one idea you're going to try this week. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm Josh Epley, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you're not sure where to start, take my free Scrum health assessment in the description below and find out where your team stands today.